Hey everyone, welcome back to Movies Watchlist. In today's video, I'm diving deep into Aliceinborderland Season 3. I'll be breaking down each episode, analyzing the games, discussing the overall series, and unpacking the ending with some theories. So let's get into it. In episode 1, we now see Arisu and Usagi as a married couple. I was actually curious about how their relationship developed and how they ended up getting married. It would have been more impactful if they had shown us some glimpses of their journey together, rather than just jumping into the present. I also don't really understand why Usagi's father's plot became so central this season. It feels like all the character development from the previous seasons is kind of nullified because the characters don't remember what they went through. Usagi fought so hard to return to the real world, only to end up back in Borderland again. It's a bit frustrating. I wish the writers found a different way to bring the characters back to the Borderland. Now, there's a new character introduced in this season called Ryuji, aka the wheelchair guy, who I personally don't like. I mean, he had the potential, but it went down in the void just like him. You know what I mean. So, the first game we see in this season is a card game called Old Maid, which was based on luck. One thing I liked about this game was how the wheelchair guy did really well by manipulating the other player into choosing a different card than the Joker one. Pretty clever. So Banda wants Arisu to be a citizen of Borderland, but I don't get why only Arisu. Because he is interesting and clever, then why not Shishia? It's a bit of a mystery why he focuses only on Arisu. Then Banda offers the wheelchair guy a chance to see the Borderland, but only if he brings Usagi. And by the way, Usagi is pregnant. Arisu seeks out Anne's help to return to the Borderland and save Usagi. But how Anne remembers the Borderland, it's still a mystery. Arisu only has 2 minutes to save her, as we know time runs differently in the Borderland. Now he is back in the Borderland, and the second game begins in episode 2, called Sacred Fortunes. It is an interesting one as it has a bit of a luck and players should use their brains to solve the problems. If I was there, I couldn't have answered a single question, and thankfully it was a group game. The stakes were high. If you guessed a wrong number, the difference between your guess and the correct answer determined the number of arrows fired. The last incorrect answer resulted in 100 million arrows, which was absolutely crazy. The CGI for that scene was really well done. In this game, Arisu regains his memories and discovers a way to escape the arrows using the clues provided in the fortune. Now, they proceed to the third game called Zombie Hunt, where each player gets 7 cards. They play one on one, and the player with the higher hand wins. The winner takes a card from the loser. If you lose all your cards, you are eliminated. This game contains 3 special cards. One is zombie, shotgun, and vaccine. If you have a zombie card, you can infect the other player. If you have a shotgun, you can kill a zombie, meaning the player will be eliminated. And a vaccine card will cure a zombie. At the end, whichever side, zombies or humans, has more surviving members will win. A new character, Ray, is introduced in this game. She is very clever and intriguing. The whole gameplay she created was interesting, and I guessed correctly that she was bluffing about having a zombie card. I thought Arisu had a vaccine card, but instead he had a zombie card, which was a good twist. Overall, I really enjoyed this game as it was interesting and exciting. However, one thing I didn't understand was why no one considered becoming a zombie so that everyone could win. I also felt a bit disappointed that the vaccine card was never used. The next game is Floating Lasers, which was played by Usagi and the wheelchair guy. It was unintentionally funny how he managed to dodge that many lasers was beyond my thinking capabilities. Okay, let's move on to the next game in episode 3 called Runaway Train. This one was also very interesting. In this game, the players have to move from start compartment to the end with a total of 8 compartments. 4 of them emit poisonous gas while the other 4 contain normal oxygen. You have to guess which 4 compartments are poisonous and put on a mask to protect yourself from the gas. The twist is that you have given only 5 vials, so you can afford only one wrong decision. To determine whether a compartment is poisonous, a caged bird is placed in the middle of the compartment. In this game, I thought the guy who knew about trains was on to something, but everything they did until then seemed based on pure luck. I liked Usagi's idea of jumping to another train. I really wanted to see how Arisu and the team cleared that one, as I'm sure he would have guessed something clever. When Arisu saw Usagi for the first time in the Borderland, Tetsu was like, "Why is she hugging some other guy?" That was a funny moment. In episode 4, we get to see two games, Tokyo Bingo Towers and Kick the Can. Tokyo Bingo was played by Usagi's team and it was very difficult one as it required a lot of strength. In this game, the players had a bingo card that needed to be completed. To do so, they had to climb the tower and press the buzzer corresponding to the numbers on the card. At the top of the tower was the final buzzer. While climbing, they were also hit by the balls falling from the sky. This game required both physical and mental strength. In parallel, we have the Kick the Can game, which was played by Arisu's team. Both of these games were semi-finales. In Kick the Can, a player kicks the can and it flies around before landing in a specific spot. The player then has to bring the can back to its starting point and place it at the center before time runs out. This was a difficult and emotional game as some of the main characters died during the game, like Kazuya, Shiro, and Natsu. The last two episodes have the final game called the Possible Futures. There are 25 different rooms, and the players can only go through the doors that are on the sides of the room. They roll the dice, and the number on the dice tell how many people can move through a door. If there are extra players who can't move, they are stuck in that room, and their worst nightmares will play. While moving on to the other rooms, they will see the possible futures on the screen, so the players will choose accordingly which door to move through. Each room detects points from the total 15 points given to each player at the start. Since Usagi is pregnant, her baby is also counted as a player in this game. The whole point of this game is to find an exit. The game was complex, confusing, interesting, and emotional. It was a mix of everything. When they reach the final room, they have to roll a dice, and one person has to stay behind. Arisu sacrificed himself for the others. The twist and the Joker card reveal was that Arisu is the real winner, as he sacrificed himself, and the remaining players were the losers. Now, Banda asks Arisu to become a citizen, but he refuses and proceeds to save Usagi. Banda tries his best to kill Arisu as he goes into the real world, but Anna, who sees him, tries to stop him. Back in Borderland, just as Banda was about to shoot Arisu, he was killed by a mysterious man called Watchman, who give Arisu two options, to live or die. Obviously, he chooses to live and proceed to save Usagi, who has been dragged by the wheelchair guy into the void, but finally he decides to let her go and dies. Then Usagi and Arisu swim back to the safe place and they are now back in the real world. It's a happy ending for the remaining characters as well as for Arisu and Usagi. Finally, we get to see the old cast again, even if it's just for a few minutes. It was a great scene and I was genuinely happy to see them again. I really missed them this season. In the end, we could see the earthquake and tsunami warnings near the US Los Angeles and other places, indicating what the Watchmen said to Arisu, that more disasters will happen and more people will be coming to the borderland, and it will be worse than before. The final shot takes us to Los Angeles, showing a news broadcast in the background of a diner with the waitress being called Alice. The scene hints at a possible spin-off set in the US. I don't understand why every show is getting a US version. The same thing happened with Squid Game as well. I was a little disappointed as many questions were left unanswered. For example, why is there a borderland? Does it represent hell or purgatory? What is the purpose of these games? Is it to know a person's will to survive? What is beyond this borderland? Who is creating these games? Who is the master? Is it God? How did Anna remember the borderland? And how can she see Banda? It is still a mystery. And overall, what is the purpose of the season? They end up back in the same place, once again wanting to return to the real world. I mean, isn't it the same before? By the end of the season, do the characters remember what happened in the borderland or do they simply forget again? There was no clarity on this. I thought this theory could have been better. Like after season 2's ending, the world they were living in could have been revealed as an illusion created by the Joker and they were still in the borderland. They could have brought back all the previous characters, introduced new games, and ended the show there. That would have been a better conclusion. I also wish they had explored more about the mass suicide and other details they introduced in the first episode. The mysterious man remains unclear. Was he just a watchman who sees the borderland, or is he the actual mastermind? That's still a mystery. Overall, the season was good in terms of games, but it wasn't better than season 1 and 2. They could have ended the series with season 2, as the ending was perfect and well made. So that's my analysis of Alice in Borderland season 3. My all time favorite game is Queen of Hearts. Let me know in the comments below which one is your favorite and what you thought about season 3 overall. I would love to hear your take. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching.